House rules. Each speaker has 5 minutes. The first and last minutes are protected. The judge will ring a bell to signal the protected time. The bell will ring continuously after 5 minutes.
Panel resolved. This House entirely blames lack of urban planning for the increased floods in Kampala city. Dear judges, I would love to open up on the keywords and get the meaning of the keywords in this resolution. We have entirely, which means completely or wholly with no partial blame placed elsewhere. We have blame, holding accountable of someone. And in this case, we have our problem as urban planning, which is the process focused on shaping the built environment and land use in a city or a region. And according to the Oxford languages, lack in this resolution, according to Oxford languages, it means state of being without or not having enough of something. Increased floods refer to the growing frequency, severity, and impact of flooding events over time. As farmers, we have chosen to affirm due to the following reasons. Basing on the current events of floods are happening due to lack of urban planning, according to Global Times on 26th March 2025, heavy rains leading to massive floods with affected individuals blaming it on the poor roadworks, which include poor water streams and trenches on the 6th and 7th Street of the industrial area of the city. And according to the NTV Uganda on 28th March 2025, the Ministry of Works and Transport acknowledges the poor state of the city's drainage system, stating that it is the main cause of the flooding in Kampala. Urban planning includes transport, sewage, and waste management. Under waste management, the fact that there are many people in Kampala and few landfills. The litter brought by the people clogs and blocks water pipe or drainage systems, which can easily cause floods. Lack of urban planning has resulted in construction of narrow water channels which restrict carrying large masses of water from the city, which leads to increased floods. Our dear judges, due to lack of urban planning, infrastructures are constructed without considering the flood zones, hence having an urban center like Kampala city being affected by floods. For example, the Nachivubo Stadium, which was constructed in a wetland, and you can see the effects of the flood in the different areas of the city. Due to our dear judges, due to lack of urban planning, the city authorities failed to know the growing population and how they could plan for them in terms of waste management and checking on where they are going to construct and where they're going to construct in their areas, because the city authorities are responsible to know who is going to construct where and how they are going to construct. Infrastructure are being constructed in the interest of investors and financiers and not considering the people and the weather and landscapes of the area, which literally shows lack of urban planning. The people found in such areas are forced to shift to wetlands, and this stimulates the increased floods. Our dear judges, basing on our definition of lack, we are believing that because the definition of lack states that state of being without or not having enough of something, we are believing that urban planning is still lacking in the city. So for that matter, therefore, the House entirely blames the lack of urban planning for the increased floods in Kampala city, because it has not been provided, it is not enough, it has no effect on how we should mitigate this issue.
So, dear panel, we stand at the crossroads to look at what transpires in Kampala city. Panel, what do we get from team government? Team government comes on floor and tells us that they believe and entirely blame the lack of urban because of flooding. But let us look at what they tell us. One, they tell us that, the urban planners are responsible for, who, what, and where people construct people. That is what we get from. They also tell us that, the narrow drainage structures that exist are causes of increased flooding. They also come and tell us that, the infrastructures, allowing people to build infrastructures in wrong places is the cause. But panel, let us look at what is exactly in Kampala. Believe me or not, Kampala is the capital city of Uganda. Yes, that is right. What are the roles of a capital city? A capital city should act as a commercial base, should household all the administrative structures of the country. It should go ahead and portray the image of what lies in the country. So understanding that Kampala is a capital city, now we look at what happens in Kampala. We look at why people are in Kampala. So you realize that under development, one, you can try and control settlements, but you cannot restrict the people entering into the country, into the city. So that rules out the whole esteem of things like poor infrastructures, poor drainage structures. So, now, we as Team Negative, we believe that the lack of urban planning shouldn't entirely be blamed. Why? Because we feel like the causes of urban planning, the causes of increased flooding rely on things like the high population that exists in Kampala. Understand that for these people who come in Kampala, come on things like informal employment sector. So that rules out the whole esteem of things like, we are having infrastructures built in long places. Understand for a city tycoon like Ham Stadium to build in the city is because of that high population that exists. So we believe as Team Negative that now the blame should entirely go to the high population that exists. Now, let us look at the KC Act. Last week we had a victim reprimanded just because of poor disposal of waste. So that really shows us that we have urban planners and they are really doing their role. Let us look at the drainage master plan that happened in 2015.
POI.
Not taken. From 2015 up to 2019, we see that it had worked just because the population was not that high. Because according to you, boss, we see that the average annual
POI.
population from 10 years is about 4.0% for 10 years. Now, how about when it is in 1 year? So it looks like the population that exists, the population that has been rapid because of urbanization is the problem that we should blame. So because to entirely blame looks like to fully embrace the idea that these people should be held 100% accountable for the problem. So the urban planning looks like the design of social, economic, and infrastructure of the city. So that is why we go ahead, because these people have done their role. Let us look at what transpires in Kampala. What is the role? We have seen the KCA engage in things like Tasa Obutonde campaign, whereby they engage people to go ahead and conserve the environment. But what do people do? Just because of the high population that exists, we are having them fail. Even when we have things like the market, one day market plan before, we see that people, because of high numbers, people at night have to sell from outside the streets. What is the effect of that? The effect of that is that they will have to dispose waste in the trenches that we have constructed. Even when we have narrow trenches, we see that these high population are the problem that should go ahead to be blamed. Why? Let us look at during 2017 under Msisi's regime. We see that we had some area regazetted for beauty, but what would happen? People would be, just because of high numbers, people would, instead of having a beauty preserved, we would have people settle there just because of things like race. Are these beauty places supposed to be rest areas? No, they are not supposed to. So we blame now the entire population that exists in Kampala, because these people have to eat, have to feed, and dress up and dispose.
This is the High School Crossfire. We'll be back in a minute.